Alright YouTube, Conspiracy Boy here, back in the day toys. I'm going to try and do less of the Disney character at the beginning, as a few people who know me in real life have started watching my videos and think it's ridiculous how I talk on my YouTube channel compared to how I normally am. So more Ollie today than Conspiracy Boy. Anyway, on with the Carboot haul video. Wasn't a particularly great week this week. Lots of traders, quite a bit of cool stuff, but all very expensively priced. Yeah, so not what I call a good haul, and I left really pissed off. I'll explain why at the end. So I'll try and go through in the order I picked things up in again. That does make it hard though, 'cause sometimes I forget. But I think this was first. So this dude had 3 Boglins. As you can tell, I only have 1. He wanted £5 each for the Boglins, which, I mean, these are the second wave. These aren't even the first wave. Oops. But yeah, I bought this one for £5 because it makes sound and its eyes light up. So he can go with the Boggling collection. He does have some damage. He's missing one of the fingers on his hand there. Or was it the other hand? No, it's this hand. Yeah, this hand he's only got 3 fingers. You can just see that big gap there. His antennas are snapped. There's a big rip under his ear. It's just generally not in good shape. But yeah, he would only take a £5 for it. At first I refused, and when I walked past and saw he did all this, I thought, yeah, we'll have him. So that was a £5. More money than I'd ever like to spend. What did we get next? I think next it must be this. This had its ugly head sticking out of a box. Never seen anything like it before in my life. It looks like a big monstrous robot dog. At first, when I was walking over, I thought it was like that. Did you ever play that board game where you've got like a dog? I think you have to take the teeth out or something out of its mouth. Well, anyway, it looks very much like that with its jaw. Didn't have anything that I could see on there when I was at the boot sale that would say what it was, where it came from, that sort of thing. But I picked it up anyway for 50p. I had an inkling that it might be He-Man because of that symbol there, the snake and the sword. I thought, yeah, that looks like a He-Man symbol, but this ain't vintage, so maybe it's the reboot version. I checked on a couple of websites, on Facebook groups even, Action Figure Identification, and Paulie Boo said I was correct, that it's in fact Spitball from the new Masters of the Universe line. Probably not a very collectible toy, but pretty cool, so it'll probably go to some of my friends' kids, I would have thought. What was the next thing we bought? I'm not sure exactly which one was next. Let's just pick some stuff at random from now on, I think. So, I was looking at one of the games dealers because I wanted some Wii games. Specifically, Super Smash Bros. And Mario Galaxy were ones that I thought would be good multiplayers. He had both of those. He had Super Smash Bros. For $18.99 and Super Mario Galaxy for $12.99. So he wanted £32 for the two. So I thought that was a bit much. I had a flick through and saw he had this Super Famicom SNES game, Dragon Quest, which I believe might be like Dragon Monster Warrior. I hope so. And he wanted a £5 for it. So I thought, yep, Super Famicom, I can play it on my bootleg knockoff NES that only plays Famicom games, so we'll have that. So I bought that, even though it's a bit expensive. By this point I spent a tenner and only had 2 items, so yeah, you know what I'm like with money. If it's more than 20p, I'm not a happy man. We'll do this little bag of tricks here next, I think. So this bag's from 3 different sellers. One seller does toys at 20p each, but for some reason today decided that I could have 10p each, which was good. And then there was another seller that I think I bought 3 items from at 10p each. And then another bloke who had a big bag of odds and sods, and I asked him how much they were, and he said £3. And I went, what? And he went, yeah mate, the whole box £3. I definitely didn't want the box. It was full of Kinder Egg toys and McDonald's nonsense. but it did have a bit of vintage goodness in there. So I asked him if I could flea pick it. Would he, you know, let me have a couple of bits out of the bags, out of the box? He said he couldn't find a way of figuring out what to charge me, and I thought, well, I'll just say to him, charge me 10p a piece, and I'll do it. But instead, he said, take one of these plastic bags, just fill it up, and call it a quid. So he let me literally take anything that was half decent out of the box for £1 and leave him with the majority of it, which was rubbish, for nothing. So I did exactly that. I'll pull the bag out, and I'll try and show you what I got from here. So for £1 we got these 4 Care Bears. This little one here. Whoops, threw one at you there. That one there. This little blue one here. And this purple one here. So I took the 4 of them. I thought, Care Bears, got to be worth something. Also a little Miss Piggy bobblehead. She's dressed like Marilyn Monroe. Don't really understand that, but okay. This one, which is what really attracted me to the box, this is like one of the Tiny Toons characters. Unfortunately, it was only when I got home I realised she was missing a hand. But I've never seen a Tiny Toons plastic character like this. It feels like the sort of Space Jam type toys, but I'm sure it's not. So I don't know what that's range that's from, but yeah, that was pretty cool. This little weird dinosaur thing, just because that was half decent. This bizarre thing, a pink dinosaur ballerina with a bit of fluffy hair to her. Weird. All these turtles. They're like the early Nickelodeon turtles. I've only got 3 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in total. I've rummaged through the box, but I think I'm missing Raphael. But they did have a Splinter. I'm assuming this is a little April O'Neil, but I'm not really sure. And this dude who I assume is a foot soldier. He also had this, which looks like some sort of gun, or maybe a spaceship, but I think it's more like somebody's gun. This battered My Little Pony toy that doesn't have any sort of marks, so it might be a knockoff My Little Pony thing. And one more, I can't remember what the other one was now. Oh well, so basically it was all that stuff for a quid. And there was someone else who sold me these at 20p each. Nice looking Eric Cartman. It used to be on a keyring. This Solid Chef, which isn't like these keyring ones where it's a bit plasticky and shiny. This one's different altogether. Definitely was never a keyring. It's much more sort of action figure-y type of plastic, so I don't know what that's from. And a little Playmobil girl. And then the last person, where they were like 10p each. They had a little Han Solo. This flashing Psyduck that's battered, scuffed and doesn't flash anymore. And a couple more Lego men. All in all, everything you just saw in that little bag, that was about £1.80 or £1.90. It wasn't even £2 in the end. I also managed to find loads of monsters in my pocket battle cards. This guy had the whole set almost, and he only wanted 50p, so it works out a penny a card. So really chuffed with that. It's nice to put them along with their figures, so you have the gremlin card, all the details, and a little gremlin in front. That makes them look really cool. And yeah, and then I went on the hunt for my Wii games and Wii controllers. I also needed a Wii controller. Oh, I've left that over there. So yeah, I knew I couldn't buy the games without buying the controllers first. So I asked all the games sellers, you know, do you have a spare controller? All of them said no. There was about 3 or 4 people there who had Wii bundles. So I just kept going around and asking them, you know, do you want to sell me one of your controllers? And 2 out of the 3 of them were just like, no mate, it's a job lot, you can't split them up. And no matter how much I pleaded, that was it, they just weren't selling them. The last bloke had a Wii about 4 games, 2 controllers, and he wanted 50 quid for the lot, which just seemed crazy. Well, I hadn't asked him what he wanted for the lot, but he did have this white one. I said to him, you know, would you sell me one? I said, look, it's getting on in the day. You might not sell the whole bundle. Why don't you just sell that? All the games you've got 1 player anyway, so there's no point having these 2 controllers. And he went, what will you give me for it? So I said, I don't know. I don't know what a Wii control goes for, and I am tight-fisted. So I said, I don't know, I'll give you 4 quid. How's that? And I thought that was a generous offer. Apparently that's a low ball offer, and I was lucky he took it. But yeah, got 1 controller. Then went over to the toy traders, probably my favourite of the toy traders, and he just had this black one lying around. He wanted a £5 for that. I shopped around for the other games people, and they were all expensive too. Someone else wanted £12.99 for the Super Smash Brothers, and they wanted a tenner for the Super Mario. So even at that point I was paying like £22, £23 for 2 games. The dude who sold me the Wii remote, the toy trader, he also does some games sometimes, and he said that I could have both Super Smash Brothers and Mario Galaxy for 14 quid, so they were 7 quid each, which isn't bad. I really just wanted to play on the Wii when I got home, and I just didn't have some of the games that I used to play with my friends. And then before I could leave, I spotted this. Now, one of the other games people had the SNES Game Boy adaptation thing, where you can play Game Boy on your SNES. But even though I have a SNES console, I don't have the cables that go with it. So I saw this, which doesn't look like the transfer pack you get from what was it? The Pokemon game, Pokemon Stadium or Coliseum or something. You used to get a transfer pack where if you put your Game Boy game in here, you could take the Pokemon from your game and play them on the big screen. But yeah, that was solid grey like that. And this is an official Nintendo product, but the other side is different, and it had Game Boy written on it, and I thought, my god, did they make it so you could do that through Nintendo 64? I do have all the cables for my Nintendo 64, so I picked this up for £12, which is a lot of money, I think. And it was only when I got back to the car that I saw it said transfer pack. So it's not made for playing games at all, it's made for transferring stuff from your game onto there. So that was a bit disappointing, but I think I had Pokemon Stadium and not the transfer pack. It's either that or I've got a transfer pack and no Pokemon Stadium. I can't remember which way around it is. Hopefully I've completed it, but I'll have to go look in my big Call of Duty care package box that came with one of the Black Ops games to find out. So yeah, that was the first car boot of the day. That's the far away car boot sale. All the local ones were rained off because it was such bad weather. And then this is the more local car boot sale. I bought this 1998 Spider-Man annual for 50p. It's in pretty good shape. It seems to be sort of time where, you know, it relates to the Spider-Man that I watched in the animated series. Same seller also had this, which is like a little kid's dinosaur rucksack. And when you open it up and have a little look inside, it's like the Lego playset. I can't remember if I showed that on camera, but I've got a very similar one that's a Lego box, and it opens up to become a playset for your dinosaurs. So I think that's cool. That'll probably go to some of my friends' kids who are really big into dinosaurs, and it's just a nice little bag for them to take to their friend's house and then carry some dinosaurs in to play with when they get there. So yeah, that was good for £1, 2 of those. I also bought this Waddington's Ghostly Galleon. That was sat sideways up on a stool. I walked past thinking the lady was a trader. It was only when I walked past the second time and someone said, "Oh, how much for that?" and she said something ridiculous like, "Oh, 20p." But I thought, oh, hold on, it's worth asking her what this is going for. And she only wanted 50p for Ghostly Galleon. She said it was all complete. I haven't looked through yet and gone through each piece individually, but it does seem to be, from just glancing, it does seem to be complete. So yeah, that one was 50p. And then I found another Wii bundle. There was a bloke who had all sorts of games, but no Wii games. And there was a bundle of 7 Wii games the console and 2 controllers, and the woman wanted 45 quid for it. And I walked past and picked it up and said, "Oh, you know, how much for your game?" And she said, "Oh no, it doesn't work like that." So, sorry? And she was like, "No, it doesn't work like that. You don't just buy a game." And I was like, "Oh, it's just they were out here on your stall at the Carboot sale, so I just thought you were gonna sell them." And she was like, "Oh no, you have to buy the console and all the games." And I went, "Well, I've got the console. That's why I'm looking at this one game. Would you sell me just one game?" And she goes, "No, they're my daughters." And she looked at her daughter as if like her daughter would talk to me, and instead the daughter just walked off, just completely left. And I was like, "Oh." And so I looked back at the mother and was like, "And you don't want to split them either?" And she said, "No, I do whatever my daughter does." And it was like, "Well, are you just going to walk off and leave your stall unattended then?" Because anyway, I must have circled back past like 3 or 4 times just watching them pack up their car, and I waited until they were getting close to packing up the Wii stuff. And about 2 of the 3 times I went past, the daughter was just sat in the car with the mother running the store, as if to be like, "Well, no one can talk to me." Anyway, she got out the car and was putting stuff away, and I went over when the mother was like behind the car and said, "Excuse me, how much are your video games?" And she went, "Oh, everything's 45 quid." And I went, "Oh, you're not selling them separately?" And she said, no. And I went, "Oh, because I'll give you a £5 for one of them." And she went, no, I'm not selling them like that." And I went, "Well, you're going to take it home instead then?" And she said, "Yeah, but that's the game that makes the bundle." I was like, "Well, I haven't told you what game I even want yet, love." And so she said, "Which one do you want?" And I thought, well, do I tell her which one I actually want, or do I just lie and be like, "Oh, actually, I want Wii Sports, love. Yeah, sell me a Wii Sports." But no, I was like, "Alright, I want Mario Party 8. That's what I want. I'll give you a £5 for it." And she was, no, you see, that's the one that makes the bundle. That's the one that makes all the difference. That's why people will buy the whole thing just for this one game. And I was like, "No, not Mario Party. You've got Mario Kart in there. You've got..." And I started like pointing out some other good titles she had, but are much less common than Mario Party. And she just went, "Oh, you know what? I'm sick of hearing your voice. Go on, give me a £5 then." And it was like, if this was any other circumstances, I would break that girl's nose, man. But because I'm buying something from her and I want it and it's only a £5, it's like I have to bite my tongue and just be like, "Here's your £5 then. Thanks." So yeah, I got Mario Party 8 for a £5, which is probably a pretty good deal, really. But it was just like, why? I don't know. I don't think I would have got so annoyed if they hadn't been so like aggressive and angry with me right from the start. But god damn, did that wind me up. Like for the rest of the day, it was so hard not to just be angry about what had happened in the morning, especially because I only left with this. And if you saw like last week's video, sometimes we leave with a lot of stuff. Today there wasn't that much vintage, not even a real vintage Boglin. That's only like 16 years old. There's these tiny little toys, but none of them are exactly what I'm into. Battle cards, probably the most vintage, and the Spider-Man annual thing that I was into. But yeah, all in all, I mean, it's not a bad day's finds, is it? And I have to give a shout out to my friend Rick, who was at the car boot sale this week. It's really good to see Rick. Always really nice to walk around the car boot sales with Rick, even though we're like both into the same things, so it can be difficult if we both see, you know. This week there was a lady with loads of vintage Ghostbusters stuff. She had some vintage Ghostbusters comics, probably 200 of them, and she genuinely wanted £2 each. She wanted £400 for the lot. They had just like individual crappy Star Wars figures that they wanted like a £5 for, and then they had like the little ghosts that are like this size that came with the Ghostbusters. I picked sort of like 6 of them out of a little ice cream tub, thinking, you know, they're going to say £1. No, £8. So they wanted more than £1 each for these tiny little Ghostbuster things. Rick bought some stickers off them, which are pretty cool, and they did have some old Star Wars stuff that they said they were going to bring next time, so maybe next time I'll go through, and if there's like a couple of last 17 figures, we'll buy them for a £5. But that annoyed me as well, that I did find vintage stuff that I don't have in my collection that I really wanted, but it was just so outrageously priced. Like, you wouldn't even sell it for that much on eBay. It was scandalous what they want for it. And they're the type of people where you go, well, if you're just going to take it home with you otherwise, that are like, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. We're old. We've got loads of space. We'll take it home and wait until someone buys it for £8. So, yeah, that was yesterday's Carboot haul video, guys. I have got a what's in the box video coming, and possibly some little close-ups of individual ranges. So stay tuned for more. Until next time, guys, Ollie for Back in the Day Toys, aka Conspiracy Boy. See you all next week. Oh, and in the upcoming videos today. Bye, guys.